Hi everyone, it's Lucy from My Crazy Craft Life, and I'm here today with a design team post for Scrapping for Less. Today I'm going to be using the Flavor of the Month card kit. It's all about the girls, and I'm going to be making 6 different cards using collection number 3. And collection number 3 has a lot of ephemera in it. And so I'm going to be using all of the ephemera as well as the sentiments from the one of the papers from the papers that you received as part of the kit. And for card number 1, I'm going to give you the dimensions of all of these cards kind of as they come up, and then I'll talk a little bit more. Now, none of these cards have a lot going on. They're all pretty quick and simple, so they're really nice to make a lot of different cards. Card number 1, the background is 4 by 5 1/4. And then the panel that I put behind the piece for that window there is 3 inches by 2 3/8, and then the piece that goes behind the sentiment is 2 5/8 by 1 3/4, and then I cut a thin strip that was a 1/2 inch by 5 1/2, and that is going to go behind the 1 sentiment. Now for this one I also used some fun foam, and I popped up both of the panels along with the little window there and then the sentiment. So the other thing I used from this, I'll be using a little bit later, is I'm going to do some ink blending with the stencil that came with it that was part of the banana split level. And I'm going to use that for a couple backgrounds because I don't have enough paper to use for all of the backgrounds. So I love making these really quick cards so that I can get a lot out of one collection and really kind of, I don't know, I guess feel like I'm getting my money's worth when I'm making all of these cards. And like I said, I love the fact that these are really simple, but they are so pretty because of the ephemera, and the paper is just gorgeous. I loved this collection. I love these colors together. The greens and blues and yellows are just fabulous, I think. Now the next one that I did, card number 2, I used a 4 by 5 1/4 background. I used a 1 3/4 by 5 1/2 for the center strip that goes down the center. I used a 1/2 inch by 5 1/2 inches. Nope, that's not 5 1/2. That is 4 1/4 inches to go across the back of the castle. And then the panel that is behind the sentiment, I used the Night Shift blue that was part of this collection just to put behind some of the ephemera and some of the stamp or sentiments, so that it could just make it a little more of a focal point to make sure that that really stood out more. And that piece is 1 7/8 inches by 2 11/16. So I was cutting them down depending. Some I left a larger border, some I left a smaller border. Now this third card, the third card I'm going to be making, I used the 4 inches by 5 1/4 for the background panel. I cut a 3/4 of an inch strip by 5 1/4 to go along, and then what has that sentiment on the background for the sentiment is about 1 1/2 inches by about 1 1/8 inches. And that one, like I said, I left a little bit larger of a border on there. And then with this, I popped both of these up with fun foam. Now, I play around with this fun foam, or not fun foam, I'm sorry, with this foam tape. And you're going to see me kind of play around quite a bit with this foam tape because I got this from the dollar store, which it's quite a bit for $1, and I thought I would give it a try, and it's a big pain in the butt. It is super sticky, so that's great, and you know, you don't have to worry about your pieces falling off, but to get the backing off of it, like I said, is a big pain in the butt. So that's what you'll kind of see me doing there for a minute or so while I'm piecing these cards together, or this particular one together. I used the cardstock that came with the Flavor of the Month kit to create all of the cards except for that one half a sheet, which I actually had made into a card and then just cut it down for the backgrounds on some of this ephemera. So this is what I'm talking about, playing with all of this. And like I said, I used the yellow, the white, the banana split, the Night Shift blue, the white that came with the kit is what I used for all of these cards. And that's what, I created them with. My next card is pretty simple, and I didn't even pop this one up. The next card is my fourth card, and I use a background that's 4 inches by 5 1/4. One of the backgrounds, the one with the flower on it, is 2 3/8 by 2 9/16 inches. And then the vertical one that's going up and down is 1 3/8 by 4 inches, and then the other one is 3/4 of an inch by, it's about 3 1/2. I didn't have a full one, and since it was going to be hidden underneath, I just didn't really care about how long it was because I was just going to hide it underneath, so I wasn't worried that it made it all the way across. So that one was perfect. I did round out the edges with my crocodile on a lot of these cards because I thought it gave it a cool effect, just gave it a little bit more interest to it, I thought. Let's see, what else? And that sentiment is cut down to about 2 5/16 by about 1 3/8. So that's the fourth card. So with collection number 3, you actually received, it's called Glass Slippers. You received the Glass Slipper paper by Scrapping for Less, Glass Slipper stamp by Tawny Owl Papery, Enamel Dots by Gina Marie Designs, and Ephemera by Scrapping for Less. And this ephemera is gorgeous, and it matches these papers beautifully, and that is what I used for all 6 of these cards, is all of the ephemera and the papers, and I love this paper. So I found that using faded denim and peeled paint go perfect with the colors of this, the colors that are a part of collection 3. And so I did some Distress Oxide blending with those, and then I also used, hold on, I gotta look at it, I forgot. I also used antique linen. So those were the things that I ended up using on this. I know I have another one that's sitting down there, but I didn't end up using that one. Those were just, I just used those 3 colors, and like I said, they really worked well. I had fossilized amber, and I didn't end up feeling that I needed to use that. And I just did some quick blending with that, and like I said, I just think it turned out beautiful with the colors that are part of this paper and ephemera. And I love this stencil. I think it goes perfectly with all of this. So I cut both of those panels down to 4 inches by 5 1/4. And for the first one, I am going to use that as well as a 1 inch by 5 1/4 strip that goes down. 3/4 of an inch strip by 4 inches to go across, and then I cut down the back panel for the sentiment, this little sentiment rectangle that, from the paper pad, to 2 9/16 by 1 7/8. And then I just kind of cornered, I just cut off, literally just cut off the corner of each of them, just to give it a little added dimension. And for these, I did use some foam tape to pop up not only the key piece that was the ephemera, but also the sentiment. And then that was that final one. Or not the final one, but that was the 5th card that I made with this collection. And I did end up using all of my paper. I do get a bag of sequins that came, I have a big bag of sequins from all the sequins that we received through the kits over the years, and I have a huge bag left. And so I pulled out one of the bags of sequins from an older kit, and I used that to put sequins on all of these cards after I kind of finished up everything. Now this final card is the only one that I stamped a sentiment, and I stamped the sentiment, "A dream is a wish your heart makes." And I used some white embossing powder, and I just heat set that onto a piece of the blue cardstock that I had left. And for those dimensions, I used a piece that was 4 by 5 1/4 inches. The strip that goes down is 1 inch by 5 1/4, and then the sentiment strip is 1 inch by about 3 inches, and then I kind of fishtail it. So it just barely fits it, and it kind of has a wide fishtail, but I liked how that turned out. The sequins that I used were called Winter Wonderland. They were Kennedy Grace sequins, and they were, like I said, were from a previous kit I don't even know when it was from, to be perfectly honest. So then I just finished piecing this one together, and that's going to, once I get the sequins out, that's going to kind of finish up all of these cards. I did pop up just the sentiment on this card with some fun foam, and that was it. The woman in the beautiful dress with the blonde hair, I just stuck right on there on the background. And like I said, I loved how these cards all turned out and how quick and easy they were to make. I think to make all 6 of them with piddling around with everything took me a little less than an hour total to put all of these together. So to get 6 cards in an hour is pretty good, even with doing the ink blending with the stencil for those couple backgrounds that I made. So that is all of my cards for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Stick around afterwards so you can check out a few other videos that we'll have lined up there. Be sure to subscribe and hop over to Scrapping for Less and make sure that you have the option to grab your kit for the Flavor of the Month kit. I do believe they still have some in stock, and so, like I said, you can get this awesome kit. This is a really fun kit. I can't wait to do some of the other collections. So again, I hope everyone has a great day. Take care. See you next time.